physicist, and so I just realized it was kind of silly of me to argue that there is no meaning to it. So obviously,
It's really hard to talk about it. Get students out there talking about it, and I just got all this background where it's like I'm glad I was able to.
It's been a pilot project this year. How did it go?
Yeah, it's been a great success. We certainly learned a lot as we went, despite the fact that teachers spent 2 full years preparing for this before we even launched this September. There was still a lot of learning to do on the road, and the students who all volunteered to be part of the pilot were really great partners for us. We had 2 extremely dedicated teachers, Anne-Marie Fant and Kimberly Masterson, who led the project, but there were also a number of other English teachers who'd been down this road with them for the past couple years. And of course, the whole department met periodically over the course of these 3 years to pull together and make sure that we were all agreed students were meeting the same rigorous standards for reading, writing, and research as in the past. A great addition is that students are now also, through the public presentation part of the senior capstone, able to show that they can meet rigorous speaking standards as well.
So I said yes to the capstone because I believe it conveyed the message that I wanted to convey to the public, and it really helped me show the emotions and the reality of law enforcement. My project was on law enforcement, and I believe that if I did the thesis, it wouldn't be adequate enough to support my argument.
The number one reason, though, that we began thinking about changing the senior thesis was just to keep up with our students and their growing abilities and interests, the different types of writing that they not only are exposed to, but also are doing themselves, sometimes as just a personal passion project, maybe self-publishing on the internet. And we wanted them to be able to see that the skills we're teaching them, how to develop an idea on paper, how to explain with evidence, how to organize their thoughts on paper, that all of those things are also in service of the other types of writing. For example, an editorial piece. One of the parts of the new senior capstone is an op-ed. So students are often very passionate about a particular, possibly a social justice issue or some other call for change that they want to make in the world. And if they are already online trying to organize folks and get their voices out, we want them to see that the things that we're teaching them to do can also serve those goals.
Tell me a little bit about your project.
Okay, so I did a podcast on mindfulness. So how the podcast works is I use this website called Anchor.fm, which is a podcast creating website. And so you just record different parts, and I interviewed a bunch of different people about my topic, and I talked a bunch about it about just myself.
And what was, the senior thesis, which has been around Belmont High School for about 40 years, is a very rigorous, even for the high achievers. It requires a lot of academic-based research and challenge you to convey your thoughts in writing. Do you think that future students are going to lose out on that rigor?
I don't think so. We're really excited that we're going to be able to continue. This is our proposal to school committee, and they'll vote on it next week. That we'll continue to offer the senior thesis for students in the AP Literature class, because the AP Literature class, which has a College Board approved curriculum, focuses entirely on literature and on close reading, critical analysis. The senior thesis is the best way to help students prepare for that, as well as for possible study of English and literature in college. Capstone is mostly writing. Students took 100 pages of notes about their research. They read extensively in long-form and short-form fiction and nonfiction about an inquiry question that they themselves wrote and revised over the course of their research. They wrote a literary analysis of some of the fiction that they did, almost the same assignment as the kids in the senior thesis are doing. Then they also wrote a persuasive paper, as well as the editorial piece of the op-ed that I mentioned, a reflective piece that served as a forward to their portfolio, and then finally, just as one piece of the whole portfolio, completed a creative product, which was could be a straightforward type of text, such as a short story or a poem cycle, but also might be another type of text. For example, graphic novels, something that we're calling a museum installation, even though we don't have museums to display them in. The students are still being very creative and using a lot of visuals as well as words to get across their meaning, what they've discovered about this passion project that they've been able to bring into the school, and their call to action to a larger community.
Abby, the thesis is a formal, traditional academically focused, and very rigorous. Translate your experience in writing your thesis to any real-world applications that you're going to be doing in the next few years.
So glad you asked that. First of all, I think that it's a really helpful preparation for the kind of writing that you do in college. It's super great to realize that, yes, I can write a 15-page paper using multiple sources and not die in the process. But the other thing is, I feel that literary criticism has more of a real-world application than people give it credit for. Sure, some of it is ivory tower kind of nonsense just to publish a paper, but a lot of it is actually very helpful in helping refine ideas that have to do with real-world issues.
Now, there are some people who would say that a capstone isn't as rigorous as a thesis. Tell me, how much work did you actually put into this? It seems like there's been a lot of work. It's just not putting a documentary together. Right?
I definitely disagree with that. Throughout the year, we were bombarded with the amount of work, especially being the first year pilot program. The teachers always change things up. In total, I wrote over 24 pages in literature about my books, about the articles I read, and then eventually the documentary took 40 to 50 hours just to interview the police officers, edit, and make the final touches.
Abby, do you think you missed out by not doing a capstone?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, this stuff is way cooler than the stuff that we get to do. I am glad that I got to do this kind of writing, but I am super jealous of the stuff that they got to do.